Good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Late Lap, your nightly destination for all things racing. We are thrilled to have you here with us, and as I kick off another exciting episode, I hope that you know that you're in a comforting set of arms, ready to bring insight, updates, and stories that fuel the motorsport world. Before we dive into tonight's lineup, I'd like to take a moment to address last night's episode. As many of you know, we had some breaking news interrupt our regularly scheduled program. The moments like these are what remind us how unpredictable and dynamic the world of racing really is and the stories around it. We appreciate you understanding and promise to make tonight's show worth the wait. So consider tonight kind of the formal welcoming to the show. Now, speaking of that breaking news, I'd like to extend my best wishes to driver Mike Wallace. For those who may have missed it, Wallace, a true veteran of the sport of NASCAR and a name synonymous with perseverance, unfortunately will not be permitted to compete in this year's Daytona 500. We just helped share the story not long ago that he was 65 years old and was going to come back to NASCAR after approximately 10 years of being away. And, it's just frustrating. And so you can watch his interview from last night or this morning on the Kenny Wallace Show. After letting Mike know that he was going to be on the show, they then said, actually, we don't really want you around anymore. And you can just go out there and wait in the lobby. So I was a little frustrated, and he still was gracious and welcomed an audience that wanted to talk to him, and he listened to some of your comments. And so anyway, it kind of demanded the show, and rightfully so. He wanted to celebrate the legacy of his late wife, Carla. He wanted to celebrate the success of the Wallace family, and hopefully he still got the word out over the last about 2 weeks. But unfortunately, he will not be in the Daytona 500 this year. Now, while this decision is undoubtedly disappointing for him and his fans, we know that the racing community will rally around Mike, as it always does, and we wish you, Mike, nothing but the best in what comes next. Racing has always been about more than just the cars and the finish lines. It's about the people, the drivers, the teams, and the fans who make the sport what it is. Mike Wallace's career is a testament to the determination that defines racing, and I'm confident that his story is far from over. But, as they say, it's always about moving forward. So let's gear up for tonight's show. We've got a fantastic lineup of stories and insights and a few surprises as we dive into the latest news, highlights, developments across the motorsport landscape. Whether you're here for the analysis, the behind-the-scenes access, or just the connect with the fellow fans, we're here to make sure you end your day on a high note. So grab your favorite snack, settle in, and enjoy the ride, because the Late Lap is live, nightly, Monday through Thursday, and ready to bring you closer to the heart of the racing than ever before. Let's get started. Well, where there's smoke, there is fire. MAV TV's Racers Roundtable, hosted by Tony Stewart, has returned for a second season. Buckle up, race fans, because MAV TV is back with Racers Roundtable, and it promises even more legendary stories, candid conversations, and, if we're lucky, a few tales about AJ Foyt breaking something other than his own records. Danny Sullivan and Tony Stewart are the hosts, which means you're in for some delightful chaos. Sullivan is here to play the smooth, introspective storyteller, while Stewart probably brought donuts. Burnouts, not pastries, for the whole crew. Together, they'll wrangle an all-star cast of motorsport legends who are ready to spill the kind of secrets that make publicists sweat. The guest list? Oh, it's stacked. AJ Foyt, the human embodiment of get-off-my-lawn energy, but with a trophy cabinet to back it up. Shirley Muldowney, the trailblazing first lady of drag racing, who can school anyone on how to win on the strip and end the life. Chip Ganassi, who's so successful as a team owner, he probably has trophies he doesn't even remember winning. And let's not forget about Scotty Dixon, who's so smooth on track he could probably navigate rush hour traffic at IMS without breaking a sweat. MAV TV promises that Racers Roundtable is all about pulling back the curtain, which in racing terms means we're finally going to hear what really happened when a driver blamed the handling for their loss. But their pit crew, it was last night's tacos. The unscripted, candid moments they're touting will undoubtedly be worth tuning into. If part 1 was anything to go by, expect at least one story that starts with, "So there we were," and ends with someone either walking away with a win or more likely a fine. And let's be honest, hearing Shirley Muldowney verbally lap everyone in the room will probably be worth the price of admission alone. For those worried they'll miss this high-octane gossip session, fear not. You can watch episodes of MAV TV on the MAV TV Go app, or probably on your smart toaster at this point. MAV TV seems to be available just about everywhere. They've even made it easy to binge watch part 1, so you can relive all of the legendary banter you didn't know that you even needed. So tune in to Racers Roundtable if you're ready for motorsport legends to dish out stories you won't hear on a podium, whether it's AJ Foyt taking on mechanical challenges or Tony Stewart debating if donuts are a driving strategy or a snack. You're guaranteed a ride full of laughs, nostalgia, and maybe a few awkward silences when someone mentions that race. MAV TV says it's about the stories behind the athletes, and we say, bring it on, because in the world of motorsports, if the engines don't roar, the stories definitely will. And of course, we wish Smoke a lot of great success with that. I think that the popularity from that race or that racing show was really, really something. So kudos to Tony, and hopefully we can maybe have him on and to talk about it. I think that that's something that's going to be really, really fun, and I know the ratings were through the roof. Coming up soon, folks, if you're a NASCAR or a stock car person, the Clash, it was at Daytona for a long time. It was the Busch Clash, and then they moved it over to such and such, and there, and then here. And of course, recently it was in Los Angeles. And I had the great privilege of attending the Clash at the Coliseum. I really was hoping that it would stay there for a long time. Unfortunately, NASCAR has moved it again. And so you can head over to NASCAR.com and see, about everything they're going to do. But at the end of the day, something that caught my mind was I took a look at the schedule. And check a look here. We're going to have Tech at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And that really caught me off guard. So I'm going to read over some notes that I've got here regarding the Clash and what to expect during this exciting week of racing action coming up here in February. Wednesday, if you're in town, Wednesday, the gates open. The kickoff will be an exhilarating week for sure. Let's see. The gates swing open. Yeah. You welcome the fans, the teams, the drivers. This is their chance to really soak in the atmosphere and explore the setup and start building the anticipation for the thrilling event to come. Think of this as like the calm before the storm. Okay. Thursday. Thursday is the one you want to watch for. Thursday is the one you want to watch out for. Tech inspection at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The race, folks, if you're a NASCAR guy, you already know where it's headed. If you're an IndyCar or an NHRA guy or girl, you think, well, then the race must be at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Nay, I say. Thursday, Tech inspection is at Charlotte, but the race is later in the week elsewhere. Okay. It's crunch time for the teams as they head to CMS for rigorous tech inspections. This is where cars are going to be meticulously checked to ensure that they meet all of the regulations from aero to engine specs. Everything gets a green light here, or doesn't. And it's all about fairness and compliance before the rubber hits the road. For fans, it's a behind-the-scenes peek into the discipline and precision that fuels motorsports. And if you're not familiar with NASCAR tech, it's streamable on NASCAR YouTube. The race is at Bowman Gray Stadium. That is a short track, awfully similar to the length of the LA Clash, which was held at the Coliseum Stadium in Southern California. By the way, everybody at the Late Lap obviously thinking about folks that are in California. Many of you know that I come originally or recently from the John Force Racing organization. I have talked to John as recently as this week, and he assured me that him, his family, and all of the employees at JFR are doing just fine. Keep everybody else in your prayers. But the Clash was in that area as well, and so there's a little bit of a crossover, if you'll pardon an awkward segue. But everybody that we know out there is doing just fine. The Clash was at Southern California. The Clash was at the Coliseum. Now it'll be at Bowman Gray. Think about the commute, all right? You have to do your tech at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and if you fail, you stay there. You stay and stay and stay, and you either fail and don't get to participate, or you waste time and you go to the next track. It's a chaos. I can't imagine the stress that's on the crew chiefs, because they're going to do everything they can to have a little bit of fun at this race. But at the same time, that gray area is only this big, and it's getting to be about this big. And so you've got to do your tech at one place and then go to the other. It was just a remarkable thing that's really being overlooked by most of the media, and I don't blame them, because it's still a little early. You're going to hear a lot of reporters talking about this, and it's not breaking news, but you're going to hear a lot more people talking about it. It's wild. I have nothing else to say about it other than it's wild. You'll see Friday, the finishing touches, okay? The final touches are being made. From setting up trackside decorations to preparing the pit stalls, Friday is all about transforming the venue into a motorsports spectacle. This is not your standard NASCAR Cup Series track. It has a lot of legacy, has a lot of history, but this is a Saturday night short track. Fights and grit and rough, rough racing happens here. And now they've got to put it on the grandioso scale that is the NASCAR Premier Series. The excitement in the air is palpable as teams and organizers put the finishing strokes on their masterpiece. This is the perfect day to grab some sneak peeks of what's to come. Saturday, you will see racing on the track. Saturday, the engines roar to life as the weekend officially kicks off with NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Series. Local heroes take center stage, bringing their passion and competitive spirit to the track. It's grassroots racing at its finest, offering fans the raw, unfiltered energy of motorsports, a perfect appetizer before Sunday's main course. And of course, the main event on Sunday. If you're a pro wrestling fan, you know that the main event might be another day of the week. But here in the week of the Clash, it is Sunday, the main event. And this is it. The moment that everybody will be waiting for. The main event promises adrenaline-pumping action, tight battles, and unforgettable moments under the spotlight with some of the best drivers in auto racing set to go head-to-head. Expect high stakes and intense rivalries. This is going to be a finish that will leave you talking long after the checkered flag waves. These Cup drivers, many of them have competed here, and many of them have wanted to. This is their first chance to do it at this level, and believe me, it's going to be huge. This has never been done before, and you should really, really take it in because this is special. Talking about special, the world of the automobile. And the MECUM auction is in Kissimmee, Florida. Right now, Kissimmee is one of the premier stops. Of course, for years we've talked about Barrett-Jackson and their Scottsdale stop, which is coming up real soon. But in MECUM, it's the Kissimmee one that's huge, and of course, Indy later in the year. And the numbers are in from Sunday. This is a little bit of a big deal because Monday's results aren't even present, or was Sunday the big one? You got to follow over at MECUM.com. There's still cars that didn't sell. Number 5, we're going to look at the top 5 bestsellers from the weekend, was this 2021 Ford GT500. It sold for $121,000 flat. Ford didn't just drop the mic with this car. They threw it through a brick wall. They packed 760 horsepower under that hood. The GT500 isn't here to make friends. It was there to obliterate lap times and look mean doing it. This car was essentially a rocket ship in Mustang clothing, and at $121,000, it's relatively a bargain for anyone who's ever dreamed of tuning rubber into vapor. I thought this one was one hell of a purchase, and good on whoever was fortunate enough to get it. Now, NASCAR fans, another version of a NASCAR, if you will, the Toyota Supra. Of course, NHRA's Toyota class, currently running Supra. We're going to fade out Toyota at the end of this year. The 97 version, it was a Super Coupe, sold for $132,000. A car so legendary, it makes millennials weak in the knees and tuners salivating worldwide. This isn't just any Supra, though. It's not just the standard with the twin turbo, which was hot. No, this one is the Royal Sapphire Pearl hardtop, which, unless you're a real douchebag, doesn't mean much. But one of only 6 produced. It's like the unicorn of Supras, and this was the only one that's really hung on at this point. $132,000, a small price to pay for being the envy of every JDM fan on the planet. Plus, it probably doubles as your ticket into every car meet within about a 500-mile radius. That one's pretty cool because, as we move forward with the car auctions, we've really learned that the muscle car is to the true car collector, it's the gold. But to the young car collector, these are the types of things they want to see. This car is 28 years old. Already a classic. Car insurance companies will take your money once it's 25 years old. Think about that. A 1997 Toyota Supra is an overnight classic. Coming in at third, the 2023 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 Hennessy Exorcist. $154,000. This one is nuts. If you're a drag racing fan, this car right here is comparable to just about any car that runs. Listen to this here. 1,000 horsepower. 1,000 horsepower. Let that sink in for a second. Look at the photo. It appears to be a street car, but baby, you're rocking with this thing. Let that sink in. The car doesn't just exorcise demons. Yes, that is a pun if you're a Dodge guy. It leaves them cowering in the corner, questioning their life choices. With only 445 miles on the clock, the ZL1 Hennessy Exorcist is the ultimate flex for anyone who thinks too much power is a phrase only uttered by the weak. $154,000? That's a total steal for something that can scare the living hellcat out of anybody. Next in second place on the weekend was a Butte, a 1938 Delhi 165. Now this one was a replica. That's something that's important to note. It was a replica, but it still rolled in beautifully at $165,000. Elegance, the name is Delhi. This car may be a replica, but it still poses old world charm, like a French couture suit. It's the kind of car you imagine Gatsby himself driving, and Gatsby had success if Gatsby had access to a 6.3-liter V12 and automatic tranny. It's 165, perfect for anyone who wants to own a piece of history without actually breaking into the museum. This one was gorgeous, and they really did a great job on that one. And of course, number two here was that one, and finally, and number one was the BMW Z8 Alpine Roadster. Now, typically, I'm not a fan of Euros. There's a couple of Brits and a little bit of Italy, but overall, German is not the car that I expected to take number one at any massive auction. But this one, it was the Z8 Alpina, a car so cool even James Bond drove one. This isn't just a car; it's rolling art. Only 555 of these beauties were ever made. And with a buttery smooth 4.8-liter V8 and iconic design, it's worth every penny of that $209,000. It's the kind of car that says, I'm refined, but I can still blow the doors off of your Porsche if that's what's needed. If cars were watches, this would be a Rolex. Timeless, exclusive, and effortlessly classy. From the brute power of the Exorcist to the elegance of the Delhi, this top 5 lineup was real masterclass in variety. You may not be impressed by one or the other, but the variety, like I said at the start of this, you're usually going to an auction like this doing one of 3 things. You're looking to buy a car, you're looking to sell a car, or you're looking to watch a lot of 1960s and 1970s action. Muscle cars are the collector car auction. 60s Chevys and 70s Fords and Dodges all the way up into the 80s. They dominate these car shows. Folks, this one was a little different. And whether you like it or not, and personally I don't, this is a sign of the times. When you're buying new cars, it's all hot and it's all electric. Well, if you're buying a collector car, get ready for some newer stuff, because the muscle car era, it's yet faded. It has yet faded. It's time for a race in time, brought to you by my great friends at Speedmaster. A la Race in Time, noted as the most popular segment from episode 1. Last night we talked about the 1992 Atlanta Hooters 500, the season finale of that Winston Cup season, a real classic overnight, and we are already talking about something just as special. The 2016 Firestone 600, ladies and gentlemen. Whew. Thrill seekers wanted to see this one because it was different. It was at Texas at night. And I want you to gather around as we delve into what might just be the epitome of racing perfection. The 2016 Firestone 600, it wasn't merely a race. It was an odyssey, a challenge stretched across months, an endurance test not just for the machines, but for the spirit of the competitors and the loyalty of fans. It was racing at its purest, most dramatic, and most captivating form. Let's set the setting. Texas Motor Speedway, a venue built for speed, daring, and drama. Under normal circumstances, the 1.455-mile bull ring of speed offered the sharp thrill of speed and excitement. But under the lights, on that late August night, it transformed into a stage for the extraordinary. This was a race where the stars weren't just above the track, they were on it, and fighting tooth and nail for every inch of asphalt, every split second on the stopwatch. It wasn't easy getting to the final showdown. The Firestone 600 began on a rain-soaked June afternoon. Rain delays, high humidity, and track conditions thwarted the start. After just 71 laps, the heavens opened up, forcing a red flag and a rescheduling that pushed the race into late summer. Imagine the frustration, the tension, the anticipation as drivers had to wait more than 2 months to finish where they had started. And yet, those same delays are part of what made this race so special. The months in between created a unique suspense, a build-up to a climax that did not disappoint. When the engines roared back to life on August 27th, the night sky seemed brighter, the stakes higher, and the promise of something unforgettable palpable in the Texas air. From the moment the green flag waved, it was clear that this was going to be a race to remember. James Hinchcliffe, out on a masterclass in dominance, led an astonishing 188 laps. Lap after lap, he demonstrated precision driving and impeccable control, holding off challengers with the poise of a champion. But in racing, dominance doesn't always guarantee victory, because lurking in the pack, biding his time, was Graham Rahal, a driver with something to prove. As the laps wound down, chaos ensued. Tire wear, crashes, and a series of late cautions shuffled the deck and set the stage for one of the most thrilling finishes in motorsports history. With only 5 cars on the lead lap, a final restart set up an 8-lap sprint to glory. What followed was the kind of drama that defines racing. Rahal, with nerves of steel, executed a daring move on the final lap, diving inside a Hinchcliffe in turn 3. They roared onto the front stretch, side by side, engines screaming, fans on their feet, and then in a blink, it was over. Rahal crossed the line 8 thousandths of a second ahead of Hinchcliffe. A finish so close, it felt like time itself had paused. Think about that. 8 thousandths of a second. That's less time than it takes to blink. That's less time than the flutter of a hummingbird's wing. It was the closest finish in Texas Motor Speedway's storied history and the 5th closest in IndyCar history. We're talking NHRA close. It's about who dares to push the limit. That's what racing's about. And who finds that extra gear and who rises to the occasion. But the Firestone 600 wasn't just about the finish. It was a showcase of teamwork, strategy, and sportsmanship. From the pit crews who flawlessly executed stops to the drivers who pushed their cars and themselves all the way to the edge. This race was a celebration of everything that makes motorsport great. It was also a testament to the resilience of the sport as fans and teams alike showed back up for the rescheduled date, creating an electric atmosphere that added to the night's magic. And let's not forget the stories within the story. Joseph Newgarden, returning from injuries sustained earlier in the summer, showed up the kind of courage that defines a true competitor. Elio Castroneves, with the trademark flair that he always brings, fought tooth and nail, even surviving late race contact to finish strong. And the other classic veteran, Tony Kanaan, Ever the Warrior claimed a well-deserved podium finish, proving why he remains a fan favorite. The Firestone 600 of 2016 wasn't just a race, it was an invitation to believe in the beauty of motorsport. It was a reminder that under the lights, the spectacle of racing becomes something more than mechanical. It becomes human. It's about the heart-pounding tension of a side-by-side finish, the shared triumph of a team and driver, and the thrill witnessing history untold before your eyes. If you're wondering what the future of IndyCar holds, the Firestone 600 offered the perfect answer. It was drama, its precision, its passion, and if marketing promise of IndyCar on Fox becomes a reality, then this race is a preface to an era of unforgettable competition and electrifying moments. So here is to the 2016 Firestone 600, a race that was more than an event. It was a statement, a masterpiece, and a promise of what racing can and should be. If this is the bar, then buckle up, because the best is yet to come. And I think that, you know, when you think about the real races that matter, the ones where people talk about, you know, what you've done, where you've been, it's important that we continue to talk about other races, other series. The sports that you love may not be the most exciting all the time. And so here on Late Lap, we're going to continue to tell the best stories, the best moments, and hopefully give some broad opinions and teach you a thing or two along the way. I appreciate you tuning in tonight. The Late Lap is becoming a real passion project, and it's exciting to be here. At the end of every show, I want to offer these words. Smile, be happy, and until then, take care. And to our friends in the South, sea amable consigo mismo, sea amable con otros. Sonríe, sé feliz, hasta entonces, cuídese. We'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.
And I don't want